Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat, and welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. It's good to be back with y'all today. I hope everyone's doing well. First off, Mel, congratulations on the crown of Firstendom. It is the speed of Benui that has given this to you this day. And good to see you, Beer Fox. Good to see you, Sub-Zero. Good to see you, Bray Herd. It's just good to be here. I'm really excited about this. I love this game, Loom. In answer to your question, Beer Fox, it's mostly about the textile device, although there is some general sense of looming. Homophones, they're fun. You mean the latest masterpiece storytelling, Lucasfilm's Brian Moriarty? Well, there you go. There you go. It is good. I've been looking forward to this. I think it has some really interesting philosophical and metaphysical stuff going on. Do want to give a thank you and a shout out as well. And swans, yes, several swans. Thank you and a shout out to Pistol McSquish for following the channel. Welcome, Pistol McSquish. When did I start playing Monkey Island Gaming Chat? When we brought up Loom. I do want to give a bit of backstory. So, in Loom, in the box was included an audio CD, which had a 30-minute audio drama to set up the backstory. In it kind of tells this tale of this world where different people kind of figured out different arts better, and they formed guilds, and the guilds worked together to lead the world. The weird one that kind of stood out, though, was the Weavers. The Weavers had this magic that actually, beyond just making really good textiles, they could also control the fabric of reality. So they were really powerful for a while, and then they eventually get chased out of town, and they live on an island all by themselves now. But the problem is that it's been that way for quite a while, and now none of the Weavers can have children. Like they none of them are born alive. And this is doing a big concern. This is doing a big concern. Now the elders of the guild are like, nah, it's fate. It's what's woven into the tapestry of life. It's just what we have to accept. And this one weaver, Signa, she's like, no. So she breaks into the guild hall where they have the magical loom where they control, where they can cast these spells, and she makes a baby. She just straight up makes a baby for herself because she's tired of not having a child and tired of sort of the existential threat of no children. For her disobedience, she gets turned into a swan. That's the punishment. So there's this new baby born. They name him Bobbin Threadbare. He's raised by Mother Hetchel, who's another member of the Order of Weavers. And he is not allowed to go to school. Because of how he came into the universe, he doesn't get to go and learn how to, which is interestingly enough a plot hole I just realized, because they're like, we can't have any children. And then it's like, surprise, there are still children in school, but Bobbin can't join them. It's like, what? Oh, whatever. Anyway, Bobbin's not allowed to join them because the elders are like, hey, this is probably a bad idea, and he might ruin the universe. So Mother Hetchel teaches him in secret the tricks of weaving and the spells, for which I have written down the names of all of them, so that when we learn them, because they're different every time, they actually, there's like 3 or 4 options for each one, and it is randomized. But yeah, so it's his 17th. It's Bobbin's 17th birthday. It's when they come of age in this society. And every year, by the way, on his birthday, a single swan flies to the island and visits him from a distance and then flies away. I wonder who it could be. But anyway, yeah, so there's this whole audio drama. It's actually really well done. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. So with all that said, why don't we go ahead and get into the game? Got to set it up here because it is an old game and it does not like to play nice.
Please choose your skill level.
Let's lower that down just a wee bit. What, Swimmelday? Look pretty, eat bread and not get fat? What a consequence! I know, it is truly... Truly, Lady Signa has suffered. Please choose your skill level. Yes. So there is... Now watch this. Woo! Full screen.
Please choose your skill level.
She'll keep saying it. So that is the voice actor of Mother Hetchel, I believe. But anyway, there's standard practice, which is like super easy mode, but whatever.
Please choose
Thank
your
you. I'm
skill
explaining
level.
a thing. Mostly walking from day 9. No, I'll have to check that out. I have seen some day 9 though.
Please choose your skill level.
I know. Anyway, expert, you'll see. I'll explain that once we're in there.
Welcome to the age of the great guilds.
Oh, they did the Indiana Jones ones? Nice.
Rise, son of Signa. It is the dawn of your 17th year. The elders await you in the sanctuary.
I've never known them to weave such a bright messenger nymph. I wonder why the elders want to see me. I'd better get down to the village.
Why are we in Arabia? I don't know. We're gonna lower the volume just a little bit more. It's a little loud still.
The last leaf of autumn.
Yeah, there were some plans for sequels, but how far along they were is a matter of
It's
debate.
dawn.
There we go. His eyes are glowing blue like a Fremen, and that's a noted point actually in the audio drama of like how bright his eyes are. There you go. See, I don't know why Matt Pack's not here. He's got the perfect emote for it. This game did really... This is designed by the same people who did Monkey Island, and honestly, just the designs of everything are so pretty. The backgrounds are gorgeous. Yeah, Jerry sub to get the emotes. I love that. Hello? Can I go any farther in here, or is it just going to be super dark? Ah, there we go. Look how big this tent is on the inside, though.
The last section tells about the decline of the guilds. There's a third shadow gathering. That's strange. The end is completely torn off.
That's weird. I see the beginnings of a name here. But... All right, this is going to... Thank you for the 300 bits. We have to do this in a somewhat old-fashioned way. Because if it's in full screen and you tab out of it, it throws a bit of a fit. Wheel of Pain. Spin, spin, spin. No, not properties. Interact. Spin, spin, spin. Man, I was enjoying a nice cup of tea. Well, apparently I'm getting more tea because I have to have the matcha candy. I need a key to open these. So these came. This is matcha ame. These came with a little slip in the package saying, "Hey, use a coin to open this," and I don't have a coin in my office. So this will get interesting. This just happens when I've got spare cash. Aha. Did you see the cloud of dust? I need to send you a coin. No, I have coins. They're just in my bedroom, which is 5 floors up. Did you see the dust that came off of this? I like matcha, but that dust scared me now. Was it amazing? No, it was horrifying. Also, this doesn't reseal. Oh, it's like a screw-on thing. That's interesting. What a weird tin. Wow, that sure is a... It wants to have a flavor.
There's Hetchel. And the elders don't look at all pleased with her.
You have heard the findings of this council, Dame Hetchel. Have you anything to say in your own defense?
My elders, my actions speak for themselves.
This reckless defiance is intolerable. Any secret you share with Signa's son might be turned against us.
His talent is awakening, and the power is very strong in him. We dare not desert him now.
Stubborn old fool! Who are you to decide such things?
Enough, Lachesis. Hetchel,
This is some peak 90s
I'm
voice
grieved
acting.
to see your many years of service end in such disgrace.
My destiny is yours to weave.
Hetchel, the fabric of your life has been woven by your own choices.
Gaze once more upon the great loom, if you would know your ultimate destiny. For that destiny is now upon you.
Oh no!
A swan's egg. What does it mean?
Something is deeply wrong. That draft has never failed before.
What is that noise? Outside!
Our mother
guild is
hears to
under
ruin the
attack.
day.
Who dares to desecrate the great loom of the weavers?
This is the work of that demon boy. We should kill him while we still can.
Your name will be cursed forever, son of Signa, loom child, bobbin thread.
My name? But I had nothing to do with this. Wait, where are you going?
Get
No
it? Her name is Signa.
explanations.
She's a swan.
No goodbyes. And once again, I'm left behind.
Stick.
It's heavier than it looks.
Okay, so this is how you actually play the game. Like, this is how you cast the various spells. I thought the loom was so cool when I was a kid. A hetchel is a comb for prepping flax fibers for weaving. Well, I'm not surprised. Man, Pax emote is a full game. I know, they funded it out of nowhere. Good to see you, Tony. Hey, Bad Roxy, good to see ya. Make soup. Soup.
Those are the same 4 threads spun by the elders.
Wait, why did
They're
they get
still
turned into swans when
echoing in
Bobbin's
the
mother
loom.
cast swan magic? No, they chose to turn into swan, but don't worry about it.
The egg, it's trying to open.
Okay, so let's try this. So hard, by the way, does not give you this. You just have to click on the right spot and know the.
There's my boy.
What's happening? The whole village has flown away without us.
From the moment you came into this world, Bobbin, great and terrible things have been happening. The elders hoped that your birth was the cause of it.
Why would the elders want to get rid of me? I'm such an awful weaver that they never even let me study with the others.
They fear you, Bobbin. When the swan arrived, they were already trying to weave the same draft on you that they had worked on me. But the draft turned against them. It means only one thing.
Really?
That the pattern is failing of its own accord.
No. Can't it be stopped?
Stop chaos? The only thing to do is embrace it and turn ourselves into creatures of shadow. Or plan our escape.
Escape? To where?
I don't know. But if we are to survive, we must find out where that flock has flown and join them if we can. You've already found Atropos's distaff. Good. You won't be able to weave very much with it at first, but as you practice, its true power will be revealed to you. It's time to leave this island, Loom Child. Your destiny lies beyond the sunset, across the sea.
Mother Hetchel, where are you going?
Goodbye, Bobbin.
Can't be covered if you
I
can't
must
spell it.
follow the swans.
Well,
How did
this
you
is
open a
fine
gateway
mess. Everybody's
fabric of
gone and
reality?
I still don't understand what's going on. Why did they keep calling me Loom Child? Nobody's ever let me anywhere near a loom.
Yeah, me watched it passively. No more pondering the orb. We ponder the gosling inside. What's it to democracy? But we have our first draft. ECED. Open. Now, Steps here, I don't think you need to print the distaff. I think what you need to do is find a stick that's suitable, hollow a portion of it out, and let me put Arduino stuff in, and then you can you can print a cover that looks like stick on it. And then there are buttons to play each of the notes. I'm an engine engineer. I'm scared about what's happening to my car. That sounds a lot like work. Yeah, but it's fun work. I like Arduino stuff. See? Just got random boards and parts in this drawer. Yeah, open is always the same. It's the one draft that doesn't change.
Don't these people ever clean up after themselves?
Poor Bobbin. He has like no idea what's going on, and
Wonderful. I can't see a thing.
there's a good tutorial series on Arduino on Adafruit. Great. So everyone ran away. We have a magic stick. The world is ending.
This wall hasn't been dyed yet.
Look, we learned a spell, even though we can't cast it yet. I'd have to buy hardware and spend time on it. For now, I'll live vicariously through you. That's fair.
That's the Book of Patterns. I already know what's in it.
Really? Maybe let us take a look at it then? Wait. The most
I
unnecessarily...
already know what's in it.
Oh, come on! Open that up anyway. Be a good sport. You have labored long enough to discover the spell. Green. C4 to C5 octave you have. Yep. The book is in the game manual? Maybe. Okay, so we can't get to that tent. So why don't we keep exploring the island? Hello, birds. In case you did not learn open, here you go. Clam. Those are very well-behaved seagulls. Bad Roxy has redeemed a father joke. There's terrible news today. Terrible, tragic news at the French Laundry. There was an explosion. The linoleum was blown apart. You can't get ye flask.
There's an owl in there.
Yes, and it says C.
Another owl.
Three for three?
Didn't know there were so many owls in these woods.
I took a poll recently. 100% of the people in the tent were angry.
That one is empty.
Okay, so we have a spell. And we know it goes CDD something. By today, in today's chant, Saint Agritus makes N.A. Negronis and A.N.R.O. Oh, very nice. Oh, hey. An owl. Will you give us a note?
He's fast asleep.
Well, hit him with a stick.
Ouch.
Banooey! Oh, no, never mind. Children, don't look.
I like the view from the cliff better.
What happens if we open the night sky?
Maybe I should stand a bit closer.
What happens if you open the graves? I can't target. Oh, there's a grave. Never mind, I can't target it.
Destiny shall draw
It's
the
our mom.
lightning down from heaven, roll its thunder far across the sea, to where I wait upon the shore of wonder, on the day the sky is opened and the tree is split asunder.
I'm not going to open the grave of my mother. That seems wrong.
The day the sky is opened.
Yeah, that green tea matcha candy, by the way, was interesting. She's not dead yet? Well, Bobbin doesn't know that.
All the holes are full now.
CDDC. Now, what would an owl teach us at night? There'll be treasure in there? Oh, not in this game. Maybe the real treasures of the moms we saved from being buried alive along the way. No, she wasn't buried alive. She was turned into a swan for creating us.
Don't these people ever clean up after themselves?
What about the wheel?
Don't these people ever clean up after themselves?
Does the wheel teach us? Ooh. DEDC. There's my pencil. I'm not sure what the real treasures are. Maybe just the moms. Hey, look at all this gold we made. This is one of the really cool parts of this game. Forget your gold, you have straw now. It's a little touch, and I know it seems so obvious and simple, but I think it's still really cool. Doing the draft in reverse has certain effects. Well, Mom's gravestone said to open the night sky, so I'm sure everything will be fine. I'm pulling a Moses.
Huh?
Uh-oh. Why do I feel like I just did something wrong?
Is it over?
It's over like your voice line. Learn ding. Creepy boat is creepy. Creepy boat is just a tree. Creepy boat is better than fail boat. I forgot how quiet the game is. Shows you it's an early 90s game where they're like, hey, you know, we can only afford music in certain parts. Well, the log was torn asunder, Mom. Didn't have any instructions after that. You have the radio. CFCC.
I think that's close enough.
I don't have F. So, what are point and click adventure games coming back next? We had Scum, then Myst, and its derivatives happened, and then went quite until Telltale popped up, died, and came back. I think we're due. Yeah. Riding the tree like a pool noodle. I'm sure this will be fine. Everything's fine. There's our island. There goes our boat. Oh dear. I expect a pool noodle.
Now, let's try this again, shall we? It might help to point at something first.
Okay. Just trying to click on it so
I think that's close enough.
I expect Wilhelm scream. I would not be surprised. Let's go back, though. Yeah, we all know you can fall from any height into water and be completely fine. So, you know, I don't know what Bob and Threadbare's screaming about. I have a question about spelling.
No, wait. That hole's already wide open.
His eyes stare, blaming you for his misfortune. I mean, that's fair. Poor Bobbin's just kind of like here. All right, let's try to open Mom's grave, I guess. If there's an uppercase and a lowercase, is there also an uppest case and lowest case? And what about a middle case?
Just
Well,
as
that's not a
well.
spelling question. That's
Some things are better left alone.
That's an orthography question. Come on, P. Tony. If you want to ask a spelling question, ask a spelling question. If you want to ask an orthography question, ask an orthography question. The spell we learned in that tent is, what was I gonna call it? It's like dying. It makes things green. But it also requires an F. In fact, it requires 2 Fs. That's true. Bobbin does hate green. There are voice lines when you use the spell. It's like, I hate that color. But orthography would be difficult to segue with this game. I don't know. I think we're pretty good at segueing everything. Press F for no F? Yeah, I can't.
It might help to point at something first.
It's not easy being green. Oy. Good to see you, Kit. See, I can't click.
That thread's too high for me. There's the long tapestry. I don't remember it looking so old and frayed. The threads describe the creation of the world and the passing of the 2 shadows.
Rotda today has this great line in the first reading with Job. Wherein he says something to his friends essentially like, "You act like you're God to me," and that line can live rent free in my brain for all I care because it's relatable.
Here's more of the tapestry.
Job's
The pattern
friend
shows the entire history of the weavers, back to the founding of the great guilds.
It's sometimes joked that Job's friends were really great at helping him until they opened their mouths. What if I open the loom? Nope. When it's read, it means
Well,
it didn't
that
work.
didn't work.
What if we close the loom? Nope.
Well, that didn't work.
High C, F, G, low C. The passage from Monday is insane. So much misfortune, it's almost comical. Honestly, yeah, there is humor in the Old Testament. Like we don't get it as much because of cultural realities and language and difference and all that, but like there are definitely portions that are written to be funny. Like to get a chuckle out of the listener. Like we can sometimes think that like Old Testament and ancient history just in general of like thinking of people's very sort of dry and lacking. It's like, no, they had their own in jokes and humor and whatnot. See, dying also requires a G, and I don't even have it.
That thread's too high for me. Grass green. I hate that color.
He hates that color. Oh dear. Okay. Thank you for the 300 bits. Well, Bobbin hates grass green, apparently. If you want to just pick one, I'm cool with that. No! Turn it gold! No, you can only turn straw gold. Oh, interesting. Holiday flavored Jelly Belly. We've got eggnog, candy cane, pumpkin pie, and something under a sticker. Oh, I hate it. It's cranberry sauce. I'm not especially a fan of cranberry sauce. I will have one of each. Oh, which is easy because they're already partitioned out. It's going to be terrible with the candy cane because it's going to overpower everything else with the mint. Yes, all at once. Terrible candy for the terrible bit. Oh, wow. That peppermint is strong. Father isn't thankful for Thanksgiving. This isn't Thanksgiving. This is Christmas themed, weirdly enough. Oh, that's... I'm occasionally getting artificial cranberry in through the mint. And then like an aftertaste of creaminess. Oh, I heard cranberry and got distracted. Well, okay.
Grass green. I hate that colour.
Wait, what was that? Was that DDCD?
The
Cranberry sun-
colour changed.
Okay, so that other one, I think, is emptying then.
It's still dripping. What a mess.
Smart D20s. Bobbin is, of course, immune to having his color changed. Well, he would not change it to green. He likes his gray. But we have F now, so we can do... we can cast Twisting. That is something that trips me up every single time I play this game, is I always think the emptying bottle is dye, and then I forget to look at the pot and send all the roll info to your phone. Fun. See, what you need to do now is you need to create a shaker that can be activated via Discord, so other people can see the results. I can empty the tree holes. I still don't have G.
Maybe I should stand a bit closer.
Not that close.
Maybe I should stand a bit closer.
Yeah, but I don't want you getting sucked in. Yeah, we still got all these notes to get, and yeah, emptying takes a G. Oh, good. Oz is in the background. Oh, now I can cast it. To Oz or to the woods? I learned J. I'm a real gangsta. By doing what? By exploring. My brain has expanded. Go to the green. Father Evan, no. Can't do that here. You have no power on G-pose. Gee, I don't know. It's a city of glass. That seems like it would be A, incredibly hot, and B, no privacy. Fabric and deliveries make. All right, take care. Thank you for the bits.
What's going on up there?
Oh, I'm sure we'll find out.
Welcome to Crystal Guard, stranger. I'm Master Goodmo, 31st in the Noble Guild of Glassmakers. And who might you be?
My name is Bobbin. Bobbin Threadbare of the, Noble Guild of Weavers.
A weaver! Tell me, is it true that to peer beneath a weaver's hood brings instant agonizing death?
I honestly don't know.
That's a weird thing to ask
Nobody's
a
ever
total
tried
stranger.
It with me. You have such a wonderful view of the sky here. Have you noticed a flock of swans flying this way?
Swans?
Swans. You know, birds.
Yes, swans! No, I haven't heard of any swan sightings. Look around to your heart's content, Weaver Threadbare. And remember, if you break it, you buy it.
We love death. It's interesting you say that because we are actually in the graveyard.
Softshod, wife of loosened Bottleblow, here attain final clarity.
Let us do a little
I
memento
don't think
mori.
I'll try that one again.
Okay, let's follow his advice. Let's not try opening the graves of the dead. That was a deep pun. Yeah, they do love their puns here.
That's beautiful. I've never seen anything sparkle like that. Not even the long tapestry. What kind of glass is it?
It was carved from a single crystal of diamond.
But I thought you were glass makers.
No, we are. Dear boy, this is none other than the famous Chromax conundrum, wrought by our distinguished founder, Lucent Bottleblow. His works once filled an entire museum, you know. And that was before the Great Dragon arrived in 7342. She blew through this city like a torch, melting and breaking our finest works, plundering our museums and treasuries until we had almost nothing left. It was awful, just terrible, really a miserable time. Even
awful.
Bottleblow's greatest masterpiece, the first scrying sphere, was lost forever.
But you still have the conundrum.
And a lucky thing, too. It was on loan to the Guild of Vintners at the time. It is the sole remaining example of our founder's transcendent genius.
But I'm still curious. Why is it diamond instead of glass?
We've no idea at all. That's the conundrum, you see.
Yes, the Weavers are intense. They're like camping. Oh, look, a bell. Let's ring it.
Huh. A glass bell. I wonder what will happen if...
Teleported!
I'm dizzy.
Very normal bell. Yeah, you know, just taking across town. Don't you ring a bell to teleport across your palatial mansion of a house? Oh, is that the way you want to go?
I can barely hear what they're saying.
I trust your excellency is pleased with our progress?
That all depends on how far this sphere can help me see.
4 hours, most assuredly. Perhaps 6, with a bit of luck.
Only 6 hours? But I expressly requested 8.
Every sphere is unique, Bishop. It is impossible to accurately predict how well this sphere will perform.
I need at least 8 hours. 8 hours, Master Crucible. See to it.
So yes, one of the it might be too intense, but you know what? That's okay. It's why I'm staying at an Airbnb. One of the guilds is, in fact, the Guild of Clerics. And while they do use terms like priest and bishop, it's more like administrative sense of clerk, which does, in fact, come from the same root word as cleric, for the record. And I find this game really interesting because in many ways I think there's a really interesting dynamic that you could play between the Weavers being more of the monastic, spiritual, charismatic side, and the cleric guild being more bureaucratic, institutional, hierarchical.
Look!
Who are you, lad?
And just what do you think you're doing up here?
I'm not sure. I just rang the bell and
Well, I'm sorry, but you're not supposed to be here.
Step back under the lens, please.
This is a restricted area. No visitors allowed.
Good day, sir.
Clericalism in my game? No, couldn't possibly be.
I guess I'm not supposed to go up there.
Time to go back up there. No, they just, every time you go up there, they're like, you're not supposed to be here. Goodbye. This game really does have great, just like, weird breadth of characters. Yeah, it's that same door. Okay. So I think we've exhausted everything we can do here for now. But we can see them up there sharpening that scythe. Also, why are the glassmakers working on a giant scythe? Like, literally, one of the later guilds we meet is the blacksmiths. Why aren't they working on it?
Halt! Who goes?
Well, well, well. Looks like a scrawny runt trying to sneak into our flocks.
Sneak? You call that sneaking? I heard them coming
Oh,
all the way in from down.
Thought you were going to fleece some shepherds, did you? Maybe
Oh,
we
the
ought
shepherds
to
are
take the
bullying me.
shears to you instead.
Listen, I mean, I'm not looking for sheep or trouble. I'm looking for a flock of swans.
Swans?
Swans! You know, birds.
Oh,
Birds.
swans! Of course. We should have known. Everybody comes here when they want swans.
Next you'll be telling us you're some sort of wizard off to fly away with them birds.
Right.
Wizard? Wizard? You wouldn't happen to be the great wizard that Fleece was telling us about, would you now?
Fleece?
He is sort of dressed like a wizard.
I don't know. He doesn't look very powerful to me.
Me neither. I say we don't let him by until we know for sure. Come on then, wizard. Let's see some magic. Or else...
These are the worst
Going
bullies.
somewhere, little wizard?
I'm going home. Leave me alone.
Better off with the elders back home.
Come on, lads. He's had enough. Let him go.
Some kind of wizard, eh?
Don't trip on your robe, little wizard.
Get on, you lazy bunch of yous. Back to work.
Poor Bobbin, he just shows up and, like, at least the guy at the glass blowers is nice. Like, yes, let me show you around. Oh, yes, look at these graves. I'm such and such. Look at this beautiful chalice. Everything is great. Everyone else is like, including the Weavers back home, are like making fun of him. Poor Bobbin. Justice for Bobbin. I wouldn't go that far. What?
Well, that draft didn't seem to do much good.
Sequel to this game's niche
Didn't
FPS shooter called Doom. How? So we have a spell to make ourselves invisible, which seems like it'd be useful to take this elevator or whatever you want to call it, and then be able to walk past those guys.
What's going on up there?
Can I make them invisible?
I wonder, did it work? Only one way to find out.
I didn't make them invisible, but I made the pathway up there invisible. Okay, look, I'll level with you. Some of the solutions to these are weird.
Our esteemed Bishop Mandible cuts quite a figure, doesn't he?
I don't doubt the Crucible's getting tired of bowing and scraping. Why would the clerics want a scrying sphere anyway? I thought they didn't believe in the future.
Yeah, your guess is as lucid as mine, Flute. But Crucible appears to think that they're up to no good again.
Then why would he do business with them at all? Let alone sell them a sphere.
Well, you know, Crucible, he'd sell his own mother's spectacles if he thought there was a profit in it. And the clerics are paying off in cash.
Which should keep us in the clear for years to come. Still, I'm certainly pleased that Crucible's not taking any chances. This scythe might become very useful if our friend the bishop has been less than transparent with us.
Ouch!
Yes. Very useful indeed.
Get it? Transparent, because they're... Three A's and a G
That
doing
side is even
something.
sharper than a weaver's
Probably
spindle.
the spell sharpening. Ah, well, we can get to the other teleporter bell. Hello, orb. Let us ponder the orb. That's not how you spell orb. F-E. E-F-F-E. That spooked him. A-A-A-G is very apt for something sharp. Yeah. So all that just to look at an orb, to get to look at the future, to see a spell we don't know how to cast, so we know how to cast it. Did we just create a paradox? Just asking for a friend. Orbs! Don't worry, the orb will be back. The orb is plot point. The orb is friend. Yep, wait. We learned a spell by watching a video of ourselves in the future casting the spell. Yeah, that's a causal loop. This kid is incredibly even-keeled for someone who has been abandoned by everyone he knows. Yeah, I think he's just kind of apathetic to everything at this point. Unless the future is predetermined. Well, I guess it would be because they have the whole, like, weaving thing. Like, they have the tapestry that tells the future and the past.
He's back!
So are we.
Aha, but I have new magic. Nerds. Become dragon.
Well, that worked. Funny, I don't feel very scary.
Which I guess the implication is that the spell only works on the people viewing. Also, thank you, Gail, for the 300 bits. Hold on. So again, if I alt-tab out of this, it gets angry. Dragon. No, you're a bard. I will be gum candied. All right. Where are we getting? Where are we getting? Where are we getting? Oh, an old classic. Hoppy IPA. Yay. It tastes like soap. Clove pastilles do sound good. I really want to try one of them someday. Oh, you're a tabaxi. Fun. You know, it'd be really funny if this shepherd lost his sheep. My brother in Christ, are you actually surprised? No, I said no, I never was surprised. I'm just like, yeah, it's nice. Oh, that's sad. Why did it taste like soap? Like generic soap?
Hey, you! Get away from here! Now I've got to go and round them all up again. And you'd better not be here when I get back.
Heckif. Streaming is hard, kids.
Go on now.
You fool, you let your sheep cast a spell on you. Nope, can't make him invisible.
Well, that didn't work.
Are you saying you caterwaul? I'm trying green next. Oh yeah, they've been chroma keyed away.
Poor fella. He must have had a long night.
You turned yourself pink. Nice.
Green sheep. Who ever heard of green sheep?
You have now.
How am I supposed to watch sheep that I can hardly see? Go on now.
I'm just gonna leave him be. It's like those 3D puzzles, but sheep. A little bit. Why do you have a fence if I could just walk around it? Why is this beer candy salty? Like, I do like every town has a cemetery. Like, it's a little detail. But you may have noticed by now, death is a bit of a theme, and keep that in mind. It comes up a lot in the second half of the game.
Some of these graves are really old.
You only need a partial fence because sheep are dumb? No, that's why you need a whole fence, because sheep are dumb. Look at the little lamb. Look at you.
Hello there.
Who said that?
I did. My name is Fleece, first chosen of the Guild of Shepherds. I wish we had time to chat a while and trade some tales, but we have got a serious problem on our hands.
What sort of trouble are you having?
It seems we've a dragon nearby.
She was supposed to be the main character in one of the
for
sequels.
fresh mutton. We breed our sheep for extra whiteness, so we cannot keep them on the meadows. She can spot them miles away. By now, the dragon has carried off so many that we may not be able to fill the cleric's order.
The clerics? I just saw the bishop at the glassmakers.
Bishop Mandible? He placed the order for 10,000 sheep.
10,000 sheep? That's enough to feed an army.
Yes, that had occurred to us too. You noticed our increased patrol in the forest. We'll deliver the sheep to the clerics if we can, but we won't trust them.
I suppose fighting the dragon will be out of the question.
Only a mage can save us.
I'm a mage of sorts. I'm going to turn your lamb green. Bishop Mandible's baller name. Well, especially when you see his portrait and he has
Perhaps
jaw
I
like out to
shouldn't bother
here.
her.
Oh, Gail, with another 300 bits. Thank you so much. I haven't even finished this one. You're too generous. I think this is a record. 4 times in a single stream. It's been a while since I was... Well, maybe not, because back when I started this with the candy corn, but... Pulperino, I'm re-rolling. 2 old candies back to back. You need the pain and suffering tag too, apparently. Okay, that'll be an interesting follow-up to the beer candy. He said, horrified. Because that's another one of these Japanese candies. So watch for the plume coming off of it. I don't know if that got picked up on camera. It did not. Dang, I was hoping against the blacks it might. That's intriguing. I can't quite place the smell because it's not like super minty, but is it rice powder? I think so. I can't read the ingredients, I'll tell you that much. That is neither honey nor mint. But with like an aftertaste of mint?
You've been avoiding my little friend, dear.
No, I haven't.
She doesn't look at all well.
She isn't, and my songs of healing don't seem to be bringing her much comfort. I wish I were better with him.
I'm getting... This tastes like a cough drop. Like honey mint, it tastes like a cough drop.
The flock is out to pasture. You'll find them there. Go forth, wizard, and may you return safely to our fold.
Not even like a good Luden's cough drop. Well, Luden's is cherry. I know that because that was a thing one of my other brothers preached on a lot because there was a lot of sentimental reason behind it with his mother. My go-to cough drop is Fisherman's Friend. That stuff will clear out your sinuses. I know you dye these sheep, or you specially train or breed these sheep. Ah! Poor Poppin. He's just trying to help.
Well, what have we here? Oh, that's what comes of being in such a blazing hurry, I guess. I thought you looked a bit scrawny. Oh, why, you'd hardly make a decent kindling.
I should add that to the soundboard to go along with.
Ah, the French.
Well, somewhere around here I have a box of Fisherman's Friend I was going to show you, but... Oh, she has gold. I mean, she's a dragon. You know, it's what they do. CD... ED? C, D, E, D. Did we show those to you? I knew of them, but I had never tried them before you brought them back from Finland. But I am converted since you brought them back.
Put it back the way you found it, now.
I bullied a dragon so hard I learned a new note. What if we...
It might help to point at something
I
first.
am pointing at something. Sometimes clicking on the distaff does not pick up. Go to sleep on your straw.
Sheep.
Oh yeah, her breathing out fire. This is gonna go great.
Gold. Sheep. Eek! Fire! You haven't heard the last of me, you cheeky brat!
Oh, I'm sure I haven't, but, you know, I cleared out your horde pretty well. Seen the fire-breathing dragon is not fireproof? Apparently not. At least her tail isn't.
It might help to point at something first.
Snakes are not immune to their poison. I don't know if I'd call fire a poison, but sure. Okay. No other way to go but down. Oh, good darkness, my old friend. CDDC. Humans are not immune to their own violence. That's an album title right there. Wait. Bobbin, come back. Come back. Nope. Never mind. It's all dead ends up there. Dang it, Bobbin. Bobbin. Dang it, Bobbin. I sell weaving and weaving accessories. Your favorite anime about Texas. I see the hole in the ground. I just want to see what else is over here. Not a lot. That's the door we came in from. Bobbing and weaving? Yes, or a bobbin on a sewing machine. It's really sad, too, because he gets bullied all his life. Because, like, the excuse that the elders give, because he's like, since his mom made him magically from the loom when she shouldn't have, and the elders are like, okay, we need to cover this up, we need to cover this up, he's not allowed to learn magic. And they need an excuse to tell the other kids, and they just say he's an idiot. So Bobbin gets made fun of all his life. He spends his free time just exploring his tiny island.
It appears I can't get there from here.
Wait, if someone calls me an idiot, I'm magical? How do I break this to you gently?
Guess I won't be going back that way.
Good job. Good job, Bobbin.
My own reflection.
An entirely arbitrary thing you do not have to learn to beat the game. Can you play Crazy Frog? No, it doesn't exist. Good to see you, Bree. Hope you're doing well. This pool's in my way. Hey, look, a giant egg. Can we ponder this orb? It's the scrying orb. It's the one that went missing that the dragon took. Let's ponder this. Oh, a volcano. That's a good sign. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mish, 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 bing, bing. There you go. There's your Crazy Frog. No. I want to see more of the volcano. I'm sure this is fine. Oh, a swan, like our mom. There's that spell again. Look at that jaw. That's
Bishop Mandible. What in the world is he up to?
I think our silly hats in the church should have goggles attached to them. You know, it's kind of like whoop, whoop. Okay, now we're on loop. I've already seen this program. Father Evan, no. What?
It might help to point at something
Goggles help you run faster. See, Peter knows what's up. Think of how quickly you could do the procession if everyone had goggles. Like, imagine an ordination procession with like 100 priests and everyone's running. You get done so much faster. The goggles, they do nothing. Liturgical speed running. Yeah, it's called the Jesuit Mass. I only make jokes about Jesuits that they've told me themselves. Priest an aspergillum in hand speed run. You see, I use the aspergillum to clip. Look at me, I'm gonna become an earthbender.
Repair costs must be spiraling.
Get it? Repair costs must be spiraling. Good to see you, P. Tony. You take care. He said the thing. Gail, thank you for 300 more bits. Oh, there's the dragon. Ominous foreshadowing. And another graveyard. See, I told you. This game is all about death. And it's there throughout the entire thing. You know, the worst part is, I'm actually, like... Chili chews sour buds. I knew that was a mistake. My stomach's actually getting a little upset from all this sugar. So when my mother handed me these, she had like a giant bag of candy, and this was one of the things in there. And I looked at it, and with the design and everything, I said, "Did you accidentally buy me a marijuana gummy?" Because you know, sour buds and like what it looks like. It's like, why would I choose when I can get 3 times more value with luck? Well, and with your luck. Sweet, sour, and spicy. It's a lot to put on one candy. It's a lot to try and get this package open, too. They're multicolored. On the packaging, they look like one color, but now that I'm looking at it closer, they are, in fact, multicolored. They look like tahini-covered Sour Patch Kids, and now I'm even more terrified. They look... I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but, like... Are you sure it doesn't have THC? And no, I'm still not sure. I've looked at the ingredients, though. Oh. Oh. I think they're meant to be shaped like something, and I don't know what, but... Oh, that is spicy. Yeah, it's spicier than the tahini ones. And then, yeah, it's like a Sour Patch Kid. I don't hate it. The packaging should explicitly state. Pretty sure I don't get drug tested. I mean, it's true. But I'd still rather not be intoxicated that way. Especially unintentionally.
He's fast asleep.
Well, let's wake him up. We have a spell for that.
It might help to point at
I did point at
first.
something.
Hello there. What's that? Your music woke me up.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, not to worry. I'm Rusty Nailbender.
I'm Bobbin Threadbare, of the Weavers.
Weavers, eh?
Rusty
Our
was
folk are
supposed to be the
blacksmiths.
character in the other
I'm
sequel.
supposed to be getting firewood for the master, but this plateau is being picked cleaner than a new blade.
Nail bender.
Come over here. That's us down there. The forge. That's
Yeah.
what we call it. I've heard you weavers don't get out much. What's your business here?
That's a
I've
place
been
to
looking
live.
for a flock of swans.
Swans? No. No swans around here. Oh, say, all this talk has made me sleepy. A real pleasure, though. Oh, let me know if you find your swans. Oh.
Rusty's like the first, like other than the guy at the glass workers and now Rusty, like they're the only two who have been nice. Like even the shepherdess is kind of like, eh.
These grave markers are forged from solid bronze.
Dang, that is heavy. Heavy metal. What can you tell me about Loom? What can I tell you about Loom? Good to see you, Mithril.
Oh, who are you?
Just me, a friendly stranger?
This is a private guild, my strange young friend. The gate only opens for members.
Oh, yeah? I've got a spell for that. See? Why are you walking backwards? Oh. I just get escorted out. Am I going to bother that poor dragon again? That dragon was terrorizing the shepherds and taking all the sheep.
He's fast asleep.
What else is she supposed to eat? I don't know. Tofu?
Leave me be, will you?
I wanted to ask you some questions. Yeah, I've got a piece of paper with all my spells. I actually almost have all of them. Do you fault the bear for eating the salmon? Yeah, if it breaks into my salmon farm. Plus, the dragon is sentient, and we can communicate with it and reason with it. And it's just like, nah, I'm gonna take your sheep anyway. Well, got this spell. Ah, there. Now I look like Rusty.
He's fast asleep.
Negotiate with dragons how you get colts. Fair. Do you want colts? Because that's how you get colts.
Hello, young nailbender. About time you were coming home. Stoke's been looking for you, and he ain't real happy. You better get in there right now.
Being a magnificent piece is not incompatible with being a butthole. This is true. I always thought this part, like, I always loved the glass city. Like, it's very pretty, in my opinion. Like, it's got a certain etherealness to it. But, I don't know. There is just something very primal cool about a giant anvil full of people working on anvils. You know. I am thinking, though, I'm going to call... This part is amazing. Yeah, I think I'm about halfway through the game, if I remember correctly. So, should I keep going... So here are the options, chat. Should I keep going and just get as far as I can next time, and then next week, it's likely going to be a really short stream of Loom before transitioning to the next game? Or would you rather a more focused stream of Loom that is slightly longer by cutting today short? Yes. That's not an option, I'm afraid. These are mutually exclusive content ideas. No? You're asking me to conscientiously choose spend less time with my friend? Well, okay, fair, when you put it that way. Have a poll. What does Father Evan do? Oh, listen to the sweet clangs of the forge. I agree. Yes is the answer. I love you people. We'll just have a new game Thursday next week. Do we want more stream today or more stream next week? Just thinking. Sure. We'll just keep going. You can speedrun DKC2 next week after finishing Loom. No, I've got other Super Nintendo stuff for Memento Mori month. This could be a hammering a song. This place is not OSHA approved. There's not a handrail in sight. There's...
Well, it's about time, you lazy idiot. I sent you out 4 hours ago for firewood, and you bring me back one scrawny stick. If your father weren't the foreman, I'd toss you in the furnace. You're just like the yous downstairs with the bishop right now. If that fire goes out and the cleric's swords don't get done...
I'm sorry, I had a bit of
Why
trouble.
do clerics need
Perhaps you'd like
swords?
to offer your confessions to the bishop in person. I'd be happy to arrange it. Now give me that stick. I'm done dealing with the likes of you, Nailbender. I'll be back, and you'd better hope the furnace doesn't go out.
What a mess. I can't do anything without my distaff.
This fella's a bit hyperactive. Yeah, the clerics are going to war.
That straw looks awfully comfortable, though. Oh, it must have a sleep draft woven into it.
Imagine frightening a poor defenceless old thing like me. Caw. Well, I may not be much good with fire, love, but I still enjoy the taste of tender, firm young meat.
One blasted stick of wood left, curse that lad. 10,000 swords to forge, and the furnace is about as cold as my chances for promotion. I don't believe this. Real nice of that Weaver kid. Just wait until his turn comes. I'll be waiting for him on the outside.
Oh dear, that means trouble.
Yeah.
Elder
Yeah, we
Atropos
accidentally just
saw
killed
this
someone.
Starfleet, so he'd have something to say about it. You could be sure of that. Careful now, old bird. Let's not singe the feathers.
Oh, my distaff. I better make this gold. I'm a simple weaver. I see gold. I see straw. I turn it to gold. Unless it's under a dragon, and then we do the opposite.
I guess
This game
that
is quite
isn't
pretty
a
good to see,
draft.
Kevin the Reader. DEDC. Yeah, in case we need cash, because I don't know if Bobbin even has the idea of cash in his mind. Best way to avoid accidentally killing someone is to intentionally kill everyone. That's not a solution, Brayherd. But yeah, basically that one kid. Oops, all Morai. Yeah, this game really is a bit of oops, all Morai. I mean, every town has a graveyard as a key fixture. Let's go see what the bishop's up to. That's an interesting haul. In a point-and-click game, the main character tends to ruin everyone else's lives for some reason. Yeah.
The final blade
And Bobbin
is
just
even
does it by
now in the
accident.
hands of our most skilled blade shaper, Your Excellency. How's it coming there, Edgewise?
I'm just putting the edge on the last sword, sir.
Good to hear it. No slacking off now. Let's get it finished.
You share with me a historic moment, Foreman. The forging of the 10,000th sword marks the end of our preparations. How much longer must I wait?
The steel will ring out its final defeat, sir. Not much longer now.
Very good then. Carry on.
Let's make it very sharp.
It might help to point. It's too noisy to spin any drafts in here.
Ah, I was too slow. Need to wait until he holds it up, I guess.
Edgewise, is that blade not ready yet? His Excellency is still waiting.
The metal is proud, sir. It does not yield easily to my blows.
More sweat will soften it, I trust.
It will be a blade to be reckoned with.
The Blade of Reckoning. It does have a certain apocalyptic ring to it. I trust I will not be kept waiting much longer.
Good metal rewards patience, exalted one.
And our client rewards quick service. Now pound!
Bishop Mandible looks like a grade A nerd. I mean...
I guess that draft isn't going to...
That's the sharpening draft.
The final blade is even now in the hands of our most skilled blade shaper, Your Excellency.
Egg!
How's it coming there, Edgewise?
Egg, that is sharp.
Just putting the edge on the last sword, sir.
Good to hear it. No slacking off now.
What if we
Let's
don't help
get
them,
it
though? What if we slow them
finished.
down?
You share with me a historic moment, Foreman. The forging of the 10,000th sword marks the end of our preparations. How much longer must I wait?
The steel will ring out its final defeat, sir. Not much longer now.
Very good then. Carry on.
Let's slow them down.
What? What evil is this? A witch's curse has
Finish
twisted
faster.
the
The customers
final
stop bothering me.
blade.
A curse, Edgewise? I think not. It would take more than a mere witch's curse to ruin my plans. You there! Could it be that this little prank is of your doing? Yes? Well then, I would be honored to have you as my guest at the cathedral. I know some other curses that may amuse you.
That's a terrifying cathedral.
I'm getting really tired of this.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Bishop Mandible, trans-ultimate apostle of the anti-secular conclave of clerics.
I know.
Anti-secular?
Am I expected to kneel?
Silence, you impudent punk!
This is my assistant, Cobb.
Charmed, I'm sure.
And you require no introduction. Your cloak and staff betray your origins. But I must say I'm surprised to find you here. It's been quite a long time since any weaver bothered to leave that dreary little rock you call home. Loom. So provincial. I can't help but wonder what impelled you to leave it now.
His Excellency asked you a question.
I know. I'm ignoring it.
Ah, recalcitrance.
Bobbin's done.
I see.
Shall I fetch the instruments of persuasion, Master?
Please forgive my assistant his eagerness. I fear Cobb is not very worldly. He does not understand the dangerous power of a weaver.
Dangerous? Your Reverence, him?
Quite dangerous indeed, my dear Cobb. In fact, he could burst this
Well
flimsy
timed,
iron
Gale.
cage open with hardly a second thought.
That's impossible, most exalted one. I inspect the locks personally every fortnight.
Observe and learn then, for even now your prisoner plans his escape.
Okay, if you're gonna make that easy.
You see, Cobb? An elusive breed, these weavers. Fortunately, however, they're quite helpless without their weaving sticks.
That distaff will never work for you.
Oh, no, my young friend, you're quite wrong about that. Come, let me show you why. Consider the common graveyard. There, the boundary between the living and the dead is indistinct.
Every graveyard's like that, so?
Now, imagine what might happen if this delicate boundary were to be somehow breached.
That doesn't sound like a good
Torn
idea.
open, so to speak.
It's not that simple. You can't just rip the pattern apart like an old rag.
But it is that simple, my boy, and I can. I have only to lift this rod, and the legions of the dead will stream forth onto the plane of the living. A vast army of the dead, nourished by the shepherd's flocks, armed by the artisanship of the blacksmiths, guided by the glassmaker's sphere. All under the spiritual leadership of one supreme commander, me! The final hour is now at hand. The age of the clerics is upon us. I have preparations to attend to, Cobb. Don't let this boy out of your sight. He is to touch nothing. Do you understand me?
Perfectly, Your Excellence.
Lord Lord Mandible, ruler of the universe. I do like the sound of it. I'll have to change my stationery.
You're not
Deadlifts
so
is a good one.
dangerous now, then, are you?
Hiccup.
Going somewhere, Weaver boy?
Well, look at the orb.
Keep away from that.
Oh.
His Eminence said not to touch anything.
I wasn't going to touch it. Just
Pride.
looking.
It's always
Tom,
pride. It does go
that's
before
all.
the fall.
Just looking, eh? Well then, perhaps we can do a bit of a trade. How about I let you look in the sphere
If what?
Well, the legends say that to gaze upon an uncloaked weaver brings death. Naturally, we clerics aren't given to such silly superstitions, but I'm curious. Let's answer this one once and for all, shall we?
May we have some quiet, please? I can't even begin to invoke the dead with all that screaming.
I love this writing.
Well, he can't say he wasn't warned.
So what's under the hood? We don't know, but it pulls a Ark of the Covenant on you. So don't go looking under a Weaver's hood, kids. A black hole.
She looks hungry. I think I'll stay out of her way.
Yeah, they could make a sequel. It would just be really easy. The solution to everything is remove hood. Yeah, I don't want to talk to you yet. Let's look in the scrying sphere again. I don't think Bobbin's figured that part out. Oh, it's the swan again. The swan is cooked. That's not good. I want... The bounty are not all accounted for, you fool of a took. Oh no, that's Mother Hetchel's color. She's still like a... Yum? No. Not Mom.
I see Cobb has been lax in his duty. No matter. You're just in time to witness the dawn of a new era.
You don't have the slightest idea of what you're doing. The pattern is already worn and frayed. If you rip a hole in it now, the consequences will be beyond anything you can imagine.
Spare me your weaver mysticism, boy. The time has come when the dead shall no longer envy the living.
Oh good, we've ripped the
Torn
universe
the pattern
asunder.
completely open.
And with it, the eyes of the dead. Behold!
I have a very bad feeling about this.
Who dares disturb the peace of those who sleep?
I welcome and greet you, noble spirit. I am Bishop Mandible, Transultimate Apostle of the Anti-Secular Conclave of Clerics. And whom have I the honor of summoning?
I don't think I want to be part of this conversation.
No one obeyed any summoning of yours, foolish mortal. I have summoned you. I am Chaos. You have merely opened the door, and I have passed through it. For this, you shall be rewarded. Join me now, as my slave. I see it has been much too long since my last visit.
Imagine being dead in my final rest, and this jerk rips me from it. Got what he deserved. I mean, pride goes before the fall and all that.
I can't seem to hold on to this thing.
But, yeah, he unleashed the god of chaos, who has an amazing design. I think chaos has a... Oh, the cage is open that had a dragon. But yeah, he tried to control death, and for that, he died.
Stop!
You know, I think we're just going to finish this.
Rusty? Is that you? You don't look at all well.
I'm not well. Actually, I'm dead.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to say a thing. What do I matter? I'm just another one of the dead.
Oh, Rusty, I feel terrible. I didn't
And
know.
that's not even the end of it. I go outside to wait for doomsday, like a good little ghost see. But no sooner do I get settled again, but some stupid idiot shreds the universe apart and hauls us all back inside. There are a lot of very unhappy dead wandering around here, let me tell you.
I know.
Valid.
I was there when it happened.
I might have known this was all your fault.
No, it wasn't me. The bishop managed this one all on his own.
Yeah? Well, there's going to be hell to pay, literally. There's talk among the dead that they're going to take over the world, starting with the Forge. My home. Where we used to build strong things. Good
Just
things.
become a cloud? I've never understood why it becomes a cloud. I have a spell for healing. Will it work? It will!
You did it. You brought me back.
It is what you wanted, isn't it?
Believe me, being alive is a lot more fun than being dead. But how did you do it?
Well, healing your body was easy. You're alive because the pattern is torn and your soul was free to return to this side.
Well, I must go, Bobbin. I've got to know what happened to the rest of my guild.
And I must do the same. Good luck, Rusty.
GG for Rusty. He's
And
not dead!
Be careful.
Good
Which is
fortune
sad,
to
like
you
that.
too, my friend.
Death is really kind of like, it is our fault, even if it's an accident. We should probably close these up. But I love the design. There is this liminality between life and death that the game is peppering you with constantly. With like entering each area, each village, you basically enter and there's already the graveyard.
You are too late, wizard. The dead have increased their numbers here. Those not dead are suffering, and my songs were again useless. All that's left for us is to put an end to their misery. Come, and extend your help, if you can.
Why is my bitrate so low? Yeah, my bitrate just dropped there for some reason.
Fleece, what became of us? I was just walking among legions of dead.
You were saved by the mercy of yonder boy. We have not had the chance to thank you properly, wizard. But our memories are long, and we will not forget you soon. Hail and farewell.
Hail
Come
and
along
well
now,
met.
before the dead ones return to the harvest.
can make a bit rate with charisma? Well, thank you, but I hope so. Gotta roll well on that D20. Hole. No more hole. Come on, go in the hole. I love how this one distorts everything around it. I think this is the best screen of these. No, good mold. Get up. You were like one of the 3 people who were nice to us. Roll D20.
Master, good mold.
I don't have one in my office.
The Weaver boy. At least you've escaped the terror of the Dead Ones.
It appears the Crystal Guard has not been so fortunate. But I don't understand. Why did you not use the Great Scythe?
We never doubted the scythe could save us. No, never, no indeed. Even chaos must fall under its blade. But we could not do it. To unleash such merciless evil would show us to be no better than our enemies. The entire world would have feared us when it was done. And to have become so much like our enemy was unthinkable.
I actually really dig that philosophy.
And so you didn't use it?
We knew the price. The best we could hope for was to defend it bravely. But we are not warriors.
You mean Chaos stole the scythe?
We did what we could, but it was not enough. Remember us, my young friend. Tell the word that we fought with courage and chose death with clarity. Above all else, clarity.
And we can't save him. But I love his philosophy of like, look, we can't use this weapon that will just make us another terrible evil. But we face death with clarity. Like, that is a beautiful line, and I love it. You're surprised I don't have a D20? So am I. Actually, all my D20s are in my parents' basement somewhere. It was intense. And it's only... It's not done yet.
Welcome, Bobbin. You
Please
have
don't mail me
joined us
dice.
here at
I have
last.
dice. I just,
Where am I?
They're
you
elsewhere.
are outside the pattern, the home of the dead, and of those transcended.
The Shore of Wonder?
Yes, Bobbin, the shore of wonder. And you are the first to behold it with mortal eyes. Your journey has been long, and you must have many questions.
You're the swan that appeared each year on my birthday, aren't you?
You saw me clearly
quite-
then. I was never sure, but those visits meant so much. My only chance to watch you grow. You see, the elders forbade me to set foot on Loom Island just after you were born.
I thought you came to visit me, but I never quite believed it.
Call it a mother's curiosity. For indeed, Loom Child, that is who I am.
My mother is a swan?
Indeed. In mortal life, however, I was Lady Signa Threadbare, banished by the elders 17 long years ago for drawing an unforeseen infant out of the loom. How I've longed to know you, and you to know me, my son.
Liar. That's just not true. My mother is buried in the Weaver's graveyard.
Dear Hetchel, she and the elders put that stone there so you wouldn't ask too many questions. Hetchel vowed to protect you forever, Bobbin. She is my dearest friend, and she loves you very much. But I fear her love has driven her to recklessness.
What do you mean? Where is she?
She flew off to Loom Island to confront the Dead Ones.
The Dead Ones are after her?
It's not Hetchel they're after, my son. They want the loom itself. If Chaos masters its secrets, the pattern will be hers to control. Hetchel plans to destroy the loom if Chaos doesn't consume her first.
No, I've got to go back there, now!
You won't get far in that direction. The loom lies beyond the lake. No, you must try a more subtle strategy.
Oh. What do you propose?
The dead ones move between the holes your bishop friend rent in the pattern. If you weave the holes closed, it will be harder for them to follow you.
I already did that. Mom, I'm a step ahead of you.
Her eyes. They're just like mine.
Do I have to close the big one? Did I not? Reverse the swan song. I can't. I don't have high C. Plus, I don't know if I want to reverse it. The swans have transcended life and death. I think that's kind of what I want. Okay, I need to close this one. Yep. Now I have B.
That's the last hole. Now, let's go find Hetchel.
The bees. Well, I have B and G, so I could be the Bee Gees. But never.
Ah, the French.
Bees meme.
Her eyes. They're just like mine.
Thought maybe she'd be like, okay, cool, this is the way now. Ah.
Huh?
Mind yourself, Bobbin. Get your distaff ready. You must unmake the loom now before chaos takes control.
What? How? I don't know what draft to use.
Birds and children have no business wielding such power.
Weavers are the only ones who do have the right to use this power.
Destiny has blessed you, young threadbare. For you alone will live on to pass your guild secrets to others more worthy of them. I invite you to serve my new empire as advisor.
Me? You? Advisor?
Of course, I will expect your full cooperation in this historic exchange of goodwill. After all, anything else may bring harm to our relationship.
Don't listen to her, Bobbin. Heed me now. Here are the threads that will unmake the loom.
Silence.
Hetchel, say something, please. I need that draft.
Enough! I lose patience in the presence of inferior beings. You will now instruct me in the use of this fascinating instrument.
Over my dead body.
Preference note.
What notes were those? Oh, look how sad little Hetchel is.
I need to choose my drafts more carefully.
Does anyone with a better ear know what note that was playing? There we go.
Oh, thank goodness. Now, Bobbin, quickly. The threads you need are...
Ducks are meant to be eaten, not heard. Now, I believe we were discussing the secrets of the loom.
You need a high C. Yeah, that's transcendence, but no, that's not it. Dinner's arrived. No, I'm not going to eat my stepmom, adoptive mom.
Close your eyes now, Bobbin. But keep your ears open. Here descends the third shadow.
That bird has annoyed me once too often. Now, my esteemed advisor, where were we before we
just destroyed Hetchel? She.
Hetchel's black feather. She left one behind.
And so she did. I think I shall keep it as a souvenir of our little encounter.
I want that feather. Give it to me.
My, impudent, aren't we?
If I can't have this, nobody can.
Bobbin, Bobbin, you did it. The loom is unmade.
You ignorant fools! Do you comprehend what you have done? None of us can pass across this rift your weaver mischief has so blindly created. Your pious meddling has brought the end of my dream. You will hear for all eternity the cries of those you have abandoned, Bobbin Threadbare.
That's a threat.
You will always know that you have left them under my rule.
We abandon no one. When our side of the pattern is mended, we will return and put an end to your evil.
Come, Loom Child. It is time for us to begin our destinies anew.
Leaving so soon, Weaver? I was looking forward to spending more time with you.
Nope, target yourself. CFGC. Loom Child is pretty cool.
Fly away while you can, young Threadbare, and know that we will most assuredly meet again.
Yeah, I don't know
ready,
what
Mother.
cultures use a loom or a tapestry. I know they exist, but I'm not sure I could name them offhand. But yeah, it's also a cool ending where it's like, sure, you don't defeat chaos, but you do save the world. You close the portals, and like, you are working to save the day still. But you kind of sidestep it, like you don't, like, I don't know, I don't quite have words to describe it, I guess, right now. So when is Loom 2 coming out? Oh. There were, like, loose plans for 2 sequels, but, like, that was it. never really came about. It is a beautiful game. I forgot how short it was. I thought it would have been at least another episode, but oh well. But I do thoroughly enjoy this game. It is quite beautiful. So, I think it poses some interesting stuff around death. It's pretty visceral around death in some ways, and it poses a really interesting some questions around liminality of death, and saving the day can just mean for you and your children. It does not have to mean forever solution. Yeah, day could be today. Yeah, absolutely in stories, but I think it's safe to say that a lot of stories lean more towards the forever solution for everyone. Like that is the happily ever after. So it's nice to see a story tell it where it's like, well, not quite. But you do the good that you can. Just play Maniac Mansion next? No. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy LOOM, and I think it asks some really interesting things about the liminality of life and death and the place of death in culture. Like, they did a really cool job designing that, so. All right, close that out. So, thank you so much for tuning in to Let Us Play. This is special, slightly longer than usual episode. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everyone for the bits, especially Gale and Sub-Zero today. So much candy. I'm a little wired, but it'll be fine. Join us again on Monday for more RPG Monday with Chrono Trigger. Tuesday will be more Spiritfarer, midweek Minecraft, and then next Thursday is part of the Memento Mori month for Throwback Thursday. Castlevania 4. Not exactly Memento Mori, but if it's the spooky theme and death and all that. Can't donate more. We look. Yeah, enough. Thank you. Next week, do it next week. Yeah, keep the entertainment flowing. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's checked out the YouTube, the Discord. Next week on Friday, I'll be doing a bonus stream as well of more Minecraft, and then the week after that, I'll be on Goff, so that'll all be fun. I think that is everything. Yeah, I think that is. So why don't we go ahead and see who is live to raid into? Oh, Peter is live. We're going to send you over there. He's doing some Factorio. Raid call will be just hi nerd. Good old fashioned hi nerd. So, all right, gonna send you over there. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Take care and God bless.